Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and this is the Ordinary Plant Girl. If you are new here, thank you for clicking on this video, and if you are returning, thank you so much for spending more of your time with me. Well, today is the long-awaited and took me forever to do. Today, I'm going to bring you my Hoya collection. So if that is something that you are interested in seeing, please stick around. Okay, so if you're still here for this Hoya collection, I do want to say that I do really like Hoyas, but I'm not as into Hoyas as I'm not a Hoya head. But I do have a lot of Hoyas. I think I probably have about 35 of them. So what I'm going to do is, instead of holding up each Hoya and talking about it, what I did do was I took photos. I took a photography course a while back and I was kind of playing with taking photos of my plants. I took photos of my entire Hoya collection, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be different. I'm going to put them over here on this side of the screen. So I'm just going to move over here. Hopefully this is enough space for you to see them. And then I have my entire Hoya collection on a list in front of me. So the one that I will start with is probably one of the first ones I got, which was my Hawaiian Royal Purple. I did get this back in November of 2019, and it is currently still one of my most favorite and versatile plants, I guess I could say. It, not that Hoyas generally give me any kind of problems. This one just, nothing, but it just grew. I didn't have to do anything specific with it. I could ignore it. I could love on it. I could feed it. I could drop it repeatedly, and it still just keeps going. I have nothing, absolutely nothing bad to say about this plant. One of the things that you're going to find in this video is there's going to be some that I might not really like anymore, or don't like the growth pattern of, but we'll get there when we get there. So that is my Hawaiian Royal Purple. The next one, which is one of my favorite ones, which I got just a few months later in January of 2020, is my Hoya Bangpla 3 Spotted Leaves. This was one of my first uncommon plants, or not uncommon plants. This was one of my first uncommon Hoyas, and it is still at the top of my favorites list when it comes to my Hoyas. I don't know anybody else that actually has it. I haven't seen it anywhere, aside from those people that locally I've given cuttings to. I don't see or hear anything about this plant, and if you were seeing it next to me right now, I just don't know how you could go wrong with it. It was the first one I think that even bloomed for me, and it will bloom continuously, usually in the early spring and in the fall, so it will probably get ready to bloom again. Maybe not, because I did cut it back in a previous video. I hacked that baby down, but it's still doing really, really well. Next on this list was my Pubic Calyx Pink Splash. Now, I don't actually know if the pink splash is a thing. I also got this at the same time as my 3 Spotted Leaves. When it sun stresses, the splash does come in very pink. I think it's only bloomed once, maybe twice for me. I'm not sure. But this one took a little bit of time to get going, and I left it in a west-facing window for a really long time. And it finally just started to grow, and it just kept on growing. And another easy breezy Hoya. Most of these Hoyas are easy. There are a few that I've had issues with, but again, when I get to that Hoya, I'll explain the issues that I had. Oh, here's one right here. Okay, so my OBOVATA VARIEGATA. This plant I got in April of 2020, and for the longest time it did not grow at all. It wasn't until this the late spring, early summer of this year, I decided that I was going to cut it. Because if it's the one thing that I had figured out with other Hoyas that I had, that when they're sitting there and they're not growing, they're not doing anything, if I give it a cut, then it starts to grow. And that is exactly what this one started to do. So not only did I cut it, I did put the propagated pieces back in. I think one of them died, but besides that, the other piece that's in there is starting to grow, and I'm hoping that it gives me more variegation, because right now it really doesn't have that much at all. So fingers crossed. Another one that was a little bit of a problem in the beginning was my Hoya VITTELINA. And this was the Hoya that surprised me the most. When I got this Hoya, it wasn't uptaking any water, and I was really new to the whole Hoya genus. So it was one of those things that I didn't know I was really looking for, because they always tell you that you can let Hoyas dry out, and you know, you can do the taco test and all of that stuff, and they'll bounce back. This one was consistently dehydrated. It wasn't uptaking any water, so I cut it up. I put it in a high humidity situation, and not only did those leaves reinflate, it ended up being something that I couldn't even have imagined. I look at it every day. The leaves are huge, they're glossy, they're splashy. Not overly splashy, but splashy. And it's just, I never thought it would look like that based on the plant that I had received. And this was another one I got in April of 2020. So I've had it 3 years now, almost 4. And it is one of the few that I still have trellised, because I did take quite a few of mine off the trellises. So it is one of the few that I still have trellised. My Hoya subcalva. This one, I'm kind of neither here nor there with this Hoya. It's okay. It doesn't stand out to me really in any other way. It just kind of exists, if that makes any sense. I do ignore it for the most part. I water it the same way I water all my other Hoyas, so it's not neglected that way. It's just one of those ones that I don't really look at anymore. So I did cut this one back also recently. It was on a trellis. I cut it back, and I've been trying to make it a fuller plant, because I feel like maybe if I do that, I might have more of an interest in the plant than I do now. But I'm not exactly sure. This next one, which I got quite a few Hoyas in April of 2020, 4 of them. But this next one is my Hoya Sweet Scent. And the one thing that I loved so much about this plant is it kind of reminded me of the Hoya OBOVATA. The leaves were not as thick, but they were still round and splashy, and it completely reminded me of an OBOVATA without having an OBOVATA, because it took me until this year to actually find an OBOVATA for myself. So yeah, this one I got in April of 2020. And these last 4 Hoyas that I've spoken about, actually the last 6 Hoyas I've spoken about, I've gotten from North Shore Tropicals. So the Sweet Scent, again, I've had it almost 3 years, and it is the other one that I have that's trellised. I really only think I have 2 that are trellised. And it's my Hoya VITTELINA and my Sweet Scent. But they're 2 of just my favorite ones. I love looking at them. Next, my Hoya Australis. This one's been a tough one for me, because I do love the Hoya Australis. I just love just the basic green. It's fine. I've got no problems with that. But I have problems with it becoming stunted periodically. Every now and then it just doesn't want to grow. And I won't have done anything different to it. It'll just stop. It just won't want to grow. But right now it is growing, and it's not trellised, but it kind of is because I do have it climbing something, but it's a completely random climb, and that's okay. I took it off the trellis because it actually kept falling over. This next one, which I got in May of 2020, so I got the Hoya Australis in May of 2020. A few days later, I got the Hoya Australis SP Australis. I got that one a few days later from Brad's greenhouse over on Vancouver Island, and that came to me as a little 2-leaf cutting, and it stayed that way until winter of this year. I guess it started growing late last summer, finally, after I put it directly under a grow light. And now it's got the amount of leaves that you can see here. I never counted them, but it has finally grown. And the coolest thing about this is not only is the leaf spacing really compact, because it is a really compact little Hoya, the leaves are fuzzy. So the bottom side of the leaves are so soft. It is the coolest thing to feel. And that's one of the things I love about it. On top of that, at the time, I didn't know that there was more than one type of Australis. So after that, like the hunt was on. The next one here was one that was reclassified. I also got this from Brad's greenhouse in May of 2020. And it's the Pubicarola Black Dragon. I've yet to have this one bloom, but the leaves on it are more of a light green, which is fine. They're nothing spectacular to look at, but being a black dragon, the blooms should come out. I think it's like a really, really dark purple, almost black. They've got a black dragon and a pink dragon. I never got the pink dragon, but I do have the black dragon, and I'm still waiting for it to bloom. It has continuously been growing. But now, like I said, I'm to the point where I'm just cutting them to make them bushier. So it's probably gonna take me longer to get the results that I'm looking for and to get those blooms. But when it comes to the Hoyas, I'm very patient. And so you should be when you're dealing with Hoya. Okay, so next is just my basic Hoya Carnosa. Just a green Carnosa. I don't know why I wanted it so badly at the time. It's almost like I just kind of wanted the mother of all Carnosas. So I just got the basic one. And again, it's one of my favorites. Did take a while to take off and start growing. I did get it through Etsy. I did get it through Etsy, so it was just I think it was an unrooted cutting when I got it. And it took a little while for it to get bigger and establish itself and all of that. And you know, one of the things that I changed, I did listen to everything about, you know, waiting until your leaves can bend before you water them and all of that. And you know what? I don't do that. I water them every week. I will shower them, hose them down, whatever. Doesn't really matter. I don't like leaving them until they're in distress. But at the same time, if you leave them until they're in distress, you'll probably get a peduncle and get blooms. Silver speck. Oh, I love this. I love this plant. That's what it was sold to me as. I got it from an Etsy seller as well. Different from the person I got the Carnosa from. But it's just, I'm looking at it over there climbing. Once this plant took off, for the longest time, it would consistently fall over because it was just heavy on one side of the plant. And it was probably the first one when I started cutting back my Hoyas. I think it was the first one I really did that to because it kept falling over. I do actually love most of these. We're coming up to one that I don't love so much, but there's one more before that that I do love. And that is my Crimson Queen. My Crimson Queen is probably my baby. It's not overly large. It is full. It's not overly large. I have had no problems with this plant no matter what kind of lighting I put it in. It sat in a bathroom with only, I think it was a 3000 Kelvin LED light, and it was probably about 4 or 5 feet back from that, and it was the happiest thing ever. It doesn't really like highlight. I have moved it around because I figured highlight would make sure that I got the variegation, you know, on the outside of the leaves, and I just found that it didn't even really need that. She is definitely a queen. Unfortunately, I wish the princess was as lovely, because I do really like the look of the Crimson Princess, but it has been the most difficult Hoya I own since I've owned it. And I got this one back in 2020, same with the Crimson Queen, and I got 2 of them. One died. It just refuses to perform for me. Absolutely refuses. Right now, because I cut it, I got so upset that I cut the whole thing back, plopped it into pon to reroot it, and then decided to leave it in there because I don't want to shift it around too much, and it actually looked like it wanted to do something for me. But if you're looking at it now, you'll see that there is only 2 leaves with variegation on them. Those leaves have been there the entire time I've had the plant. They come off dehydrated. I'm assuming they're not, because they're still hanging in there. But this plant literally does not want to do anything for me, ever. I don't know how to make it happy. More often than not, I've wanted to throw it away, but I can't bring myself to do it because I am determined. Unless it dies, I will probably sit there with that plant forever, because it's like my Hoya nemesis right now. I've never, everybody says they're so simple. And when I think about all the YouTube channels that I watch that are plant people, and the Instagrams that I've seen just from people that I follow, there are very few Crimson Princess owners that have like full pots of Crimson Princess. So I don't know if it's just me that has issues with this plant in general, but I low-key hate it, but I'm not prepared to give up on it. My Hoya SHEPHERDII. This one, I love it. I love the SHEPHERDII. I love the long leaves that it has. It's probably one of the very few that I have that are like that. I love the growth pattern for it. I do just need it to be a little bit bushier, but I'll probably propagate it over the fall and winter just to make sure that I can get something. But actually, if I think back to it, every time I have propagated the SHEPHERDII, the propagated pieces don't make it. They don't survive. But the plant itself is healthy. So I don't know why that is, or if I'm doing something drastically wrong. But it doesn't want to propagate for me. So this one I got in July of 2020 from Etsy as well. There was a point in time when I was just buying Hoyas off Etsy. But you can tell that 2020 was like when I just started accumulating more and more Hoyas. Next, my Hoya CURTISII. So this one, when I got it, I think I got it from Plant Some. Yes. When I got this plant, I was so excited to have it. It was in really good condition. It was really full, but you know, I underestimated the fact that most times Hoyas will acclimate really easily for me. The CURTISII didn't work that way. So I actually lost a lot of the volume that that plant had, and it's just recently started to like reestablish itself and grow back and you know, start giving me some new growth. So I'm very excited and also terrified to move it from where it is, mess with it in any way, shape, or form. So The only thing that I will end up doing, and I have propagated this one as well, and they'll propagate, but then when I go to put them back in the pot, it's like they're not getting enough water. They're like, it's not staying moist enough to establish itself well, and it dies. So now I've just decided that when I cut it, I'm not gonna refill it. I'm just gonna let it fill out on its own. My Hoya Australis SSP Rupicola. This one I actually got from the Little Big Plant Company in 2021. And I was drawn to it because it was another form of Australis. At the time, I did get that and an Australis Lisa, and I don't know if an Australis Lisa thinks that it should act like a Crimson Princess, but it just died tragically in my care. So there was no more Australis Lisa. But the Rupicola, which surprised me because the leaves are really, really thick and really rigid. It was one that didn't grow very fast at all, which is a common theme for me. Didn't grow very fast at all. It took a little while to establish itself. And I think it's only put out maybe 4 or 5 leaves since I've had it, and I've had it since 2021. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. If I keep that plant at all, it's only because it's another member of the Australis family. This one is one that I have absolutely determined that I do not want. And it is my Hoya Pachaclata. I absolutely hate the growth pattern. The look of the leaves and everything is fine. The texture of them, all of that, I've got no problem with it, but the growth pattern of this plant drives me absolutely insane. And I don't know why. It's wonky. And for the most part, I can deal with wonky plants. I don't mind having wonky plants, but this, every time I look at it, I'm like, I don't want you. So I'm probably going to purge that one, but as of right now, it is still part of my Hoya collection, so it needed to be in this video. Oh, my next absolute favorite, which took me my second try to actually get, is my Hoya Macrophylla. I love this plant. The first time I got a cutting of it, it died. But then I got another cutting of it, and I was so hyper aware that I did not want these cuttings to die that I worked really hard to get it to a point where it would establish itself and it would grow on its own, and it has absolutely done that. I will be propagating more of this because, again, I want to make a fuller pot, but the Macrophylla has got everything. That it's the texture of the leaves, the look of the leaves. I mean, if you really think about it, it's like a really ribby, larger leaved Crimson Queen. Sorta? I think so. And it's just absolutely one of my favorites. And I got it from a plant friend who had traded me. I can't remember what we traded, but I was so excited to get another shot at this one, and I'm so happy that it is doing so well. Next up comes my KROHNIANA. I really like my KROHNIANA, but I don't understand it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Leaves are yellowing. I think I have one strand left. One vine left on it that it's got a really compact leaf formation, but it's the only one that I think will continue to possibly give me leaves if it doesn't die. And I don't want it to. I would love to have a KROHNIANA black, but until I can get one of those, then this is the next best thing. And I really do like the plant. I'm really hoping, my fingers are crossed, that I can make this one work. And when did I get that one? I got that one in 2022. I got the Macrophylla in 2022 as well. Okay, so I got that from Garden Works, and because I got it from a garden center, I feel like that's the reason why it went downhill, because I did get that and a Hoya Collection, but I did get them both from the same place, and I don't know if they were overwatered, but the acclimation didn't work, and the WAIIAN we'll get there. Now we come on to a string of Hoyas that I got from Grania at Jungle Flowers Canada. So I did a video when I got these and I unboxed them and everything, and I really haven't updated anything about them since I got them in 2022. So it was June. I've had them just over a year now. So now you're gonna get your updates. So the one that I had actually talked to Grania about that I wanted from her collection was the Hoya Jennifer. And this plant did not disappoint me at all. I love this plant so much. I can see it just sitting over here, but you are going to see it over here. It's getting some sunshine right now. It's very happy. When I got this plant, I was so surprised, not only at the size of the leaf, but at the fact that she had sent me not only the Hoya Jennifer, but 8 other cuttings as well. So it was a very nice surprise. On that list was the ACUTA VARIEGATA. Now this one, in the entire year I've had it, has done nothing for me. It still has the same tiny little 2 leaves, which you'll be able to see, and has not wanted really to do anything. It does sit about 2 feet away from a grow light, and it's the only one that hasn't shown me any growth whatsoever since I got it. But I am patient. I am very patient. And hopefully it will give me that growth eventually, but I'm not holding my breath. I've had so many that have been that way. They've been 2-leaf plants for years, and then all of a sudden they have a huge growth spurt, and then I have to cut them back. So I'm hoping that the ACUTA is the same way. I'm very excited to see if that's what happens. The coronaria, that's how we're going to pronounce it. That one has the weirdest growth pattern for me. This Hoya, as you can see, literally just stands straight up. Straight up. I'm looking at it over here, so I can see it just, I don't know, it doesn't want to go any way but up. I think it's super cute for that, and it also has fuzzy leaves on the underside. After that, we've got the Husk Yellow, which gave me, I think, 2 leaves, and then that was it. And it sits next to the ACUTA. They don't want to do anything right now. That's fine. I know that I have seen them both in fuller situations, and I really do like the way they look, so they can sit there, and I mean, maybe they'll grow for me next year. They could grow over the winter because my Hoyas actually do like doing that, having a little bit of a growth spurt. But there's the Husk Yellow. My Hoya Rosita. Okay, so the Rosita, I got a cutting from Grania, and I also got one in a mystery box that I had gotten from North Shore Tropical, so I actually planted them together. And that one is starting, it's really starting to establish itself now in the one pot, and both of them are starting to grow, and it is another compact leaf variation where I can't wait to have a fuller pot just to see how the whole thing looks. I didn't actually think I was gonna like that one as much as I did when I got it, but I really do like it now. I get it, I look at it all the time. Another one that I wasn't sure I was actually going to like was the Hoya Retusa. And if I'm honest, I won't even realize that one is grown until I look at it one day and I'm like, oh, you look longer. It's a really bizarre thing. I'm not hyper focused on it, but when I go to like touch the leaves and stuff, I don't know what it wants from me, but apparently it's getting what it needs because it is growing. It's just one of those things I don't notice is happening until I'm like, huh, that looks like it's done something, and it will have. The Rinsei, I love this little one. I love like the little leaves on it. Does have a weird growth pattern for me. Same sort of thing as the coronaria, whatever. It sticks straight up, not a single leaf on it, but I'm starting to see little baby leaves come out of it now, and I need it to lean over though, but I don't want it to break, but it just sticks straight up. I don't know. I don't know. My Hoya sigillatus. I wish this one would do more for me. It did grow a couple of new leaves for me. I was so excited when it did that because I love the look of those leaves. It's like nothing that I have at all. So I really do love the look of it. I really need it to just start going, just grow. That's one of the ones that I'm just rooting for all the time. Just like, give me something. But it's taking its own sweet time. So, you know, what can I do? The Fitchii. Another one that I really like that I never would have thought of getting for myself. But thanks to Grania, most of these Hoyas that she gave me, I wouldn't have thought of getting for myself. I think the only one on this list, there's 2 on the list of the ones that she gave me that I might have looked at someplace else. And that would have been the Retusa, just because I think it's quirky and weird and I like it. And the Sigillatus would have been the other one, just because it doesn't look like the other Hoyas. It's something completely different. So I was really excited about that one when I unboxed it. And then, oh, I was talking about the Fitchii, sorry. That one as well, I just think is, I think it's just cute. It's just cute. I don't even have words for it. It's just one that I'm glad I have that I wouldn't have expected to have. My Hoya Rangsan. This one I got in a mystery box from North Shore Tropicals. And I was actually pretty excited to get it. I had seen it repeatedly on the website, but never pulled the trigger and actually ordered the plant. So when it came in the mystery box, I was so excited about it. And it's been a trooper. It's just growing. It's been pretty happy. I think I would say it's been pretty happy. And I love the pattern on the leaves and everything, the shape of the leaves. It's like, I really like the pubic calyx leaves and the Carnosa leaves. I don't know what a Rangsan is, but it just has that leaf shape. We're getting to the last 2 Hoyas on this list. And one of them, finally, which I got December of last year. So I've actually had it almost a year. I thought I got it this year, but I did get it last year. And I did get it from North Shore Tropicals. And it was finally, I got a Hoya OBOVATA. That's it. The OBOVATA. Wanted it forever. Finally got it. Couldn't be happier. It's currently giving me 2 more leaves. So based at the time you saw this, I'm sure that the picture that you're looking at, the leaves would have been much smaller, but now they're getting to be a good size. One of the things that I found about the OBOVATAs is that their leaves are really wonky. It's really hard for me to get like a perfect round leaf, but we're gonna try. I don't know if that needs more moisture or more light. I don't know, but I'll figure it out somehow. And the very last one is my Hoya Hawaii. I do want the variegated form. The variegated form is on my wish list. The green form is fine. I have no problems with it, except that acclimation has been hard. I did get it from a garden center. I got it from Garden Works. Soaking wet. It's been a problem. It's to the point where I've got 1 vine left and I'm hoping it survives. So let's see if that happens. Okay, I kind of lost track of where I was there because my phone rang and I had to take a call. I do know that I was on my last plant, which I have had since April of this year, and I still classify it as acclimating because I have not gotten any new growth from it. And yeah, so my Hoya Hawaii, as I was saying previously, I want it to be well. I really do. I love the Hawaii, whether it's the green or the variegated. And it's one thing that I want to succeed. And I'm hoping that it does. I'm hoping that we can figure out what it is that's needed and that it grows just as well as the rest of its Hoya family. But that being said, I hope you are all safe and well. Please like and consider subscribing to my channel. Leave any comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!